And welcome to the M2 podcast. I'm your host, Michael Anthony, my co-host, KyleHeath. This is the show where we basically cover your esports and personalities, gaming industry related news, new and upcoming video games, and technology and innovation. What we like to do at the start of every episode is do a bit of a recap to see what we've been up to. Kyle, I haven't talked to you much when it comes to gaming. What have you been doing the last week other than editing a bunch of shorts for the podcast YouTube channel? Shout out. Definitely check that out.
Check out the
What else
shorts
you been up to
on this channel. What did I play? There was one game. There's a couple games. There was one in particular. There's no way I'm drawing a blank now. You had such a good intro. I think it just completely threw me off. Like it was like you were just in there and like just that was so good. I played some Back 4 Blood. I know that.
That's good. Did you get any further in your act? I remember you said you were last in Act 3.
Yeah. We actually made a lot of progress our last playthrough. It was mainly we finished out Act 3. It was Act 3. Yeah, we finished out that act. We did Act 4. We also did Act 5, which I want to say Act 5 was the one that was like the final mission. It's just like one, like it's literally just one mission, and like you play it, and after you beat it, that's the end of the main story. Actually, it's Act 4, so Act 4 is the end of the main story. Act 5 is actually DLC content, which I did not know until we finished the game. We were like, wait a minute, to get the other act, we have to actually get the DLC.
I did hear about that. I completely forgot.
So yeah, we made that realization after we beat the game, but we decided to just get the DLC, and so we started that. We got a few. I think we got like maybe 1 or 2 missions in. We even did some of the skull totem stuff, which in that game is like skull totems you can unlock. There's like a special kind of path of like skins and cosmetics and stuff like that you can get with skull totems, and the only way to get them is if you do these particular missions. I guess particular like mission subsets where you're essentially it's almost like I like to think of it as like a dungeon kind of like you go in and then you just fight you fight a bunch of hordes and bosses and stuff, and you just go kind of like down a tunnel, and so you're like essentially just you go to different levels and you fight different levels of mobs, and you collect these skull totems along the way. The only downside to collecting those, if you get a skull totem, you have to carry that through the entirety. So if you get like,
oh my gosh,
essentially you can like dedicate one person to it, and they can just carry them all. But like you have to carry, like I think we ended up getting, I want to say it was like 6, but it would have been 3, but it was like double skull totem month or whatever. Some event was going on, so we got double the totems. But yeah, it was a lot of effort, and we came out with only like 6, and we're like, dude, we only got 6. And then my buddy was like, well, we would have gotten 3, but it was actually an event right now, so we got way more than we should have. It's like, dude, come on, because that was a grind. But if you play enough of those, you rack up skull totems, you get special like cool cosmetics and stuff.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So yeah, pretty interesting stuff there. I enjoyed that. That was kind of a off the main story beat there. That was pretty fun. But yeah, I mean, so far the DLC's been interesting. We're still sort of like in the beginning, but I'm excited to play the rest of it. So hopefully coming up here we'll get to play some more.
How much was the DLC?
I want to say it was actually on sale at the time, but I think originally it's like 15 a pack or something like that. And so the first and second are 15 each, and it was on sale for like $13.50, I think, for Halloween and whatnot. So got a little bit of a deal on it, but yeah, it was it's not too bad in price though. I mean, you get some like I think you get extra cards and stuff too that you unlock with and like it's like special guns and everything. So it's there's different stuff to be had. There's little DLCs, but I don't know. We're enjoying the content, so it's worth it,
Yeah.
I don't mind paying for extra DLC in games. I feel like most games it's like Battle Pass or like something that's, or like free content, which is like okay, but if you have like good solid paid DLC, it's more than likely really well done, and they put a lot of like time and effort into it because they want to charge the customers.
Yeah.
So
you always want to make sure you get your money's worth.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of missed that. That was one of the things about like Call of Duty I really missed, which we could segue into that because that was the other huge game I ended up playing this week. was getting into Modern Warfare 2, the 2022 the remake, I guess the reboot. Played a lot of that.
Are you liking it?
I have my opinions on it. I voiced one opinion on Twitter, but yeah, I think for the most part I enjoy it. I'm gonna play it some more. I think I've only touched the multiplayer, mind you. I haven't touched anything else. So I haven't done campaign or Spec Ops or any of that. I just only touched the multiplayer, and I mean, for the most part, it's it's there's nothing crazy that stands out to me of like, oh, this is like vastly different from Vanguard or Cold War. Like there's nothing like crazy there, but at least on the multiplayer side. But I mean, I just have to say it, dude. Like, I don't know what they're thinking with this UI, Mike. I don't understand, dude. It is.
It's made for a tablet.
Yeah, like I don't know, dude. I spent at least 5 or 10 minutes trying to figure out what level the gun I was using was, and what level I needed to unlock like the next attachments or like camos or what. Like it took me forever because like when I'm looking, when I'm looking at like I want to use a different AR, so when I'm looking at the ARs, I'm like, okay, I see these are locked, but it like doesn't tell me what level. So I click into the gun, and it's like it's not like. I wish it would just tell you the level on the actual gun itself when you're scrolling through the menu. But you have to like click into it and then you look at the top left of the screen. So it's like complete opposite side of the screen from where like you would think it would be shown.
Yeah.
So yeah, it bugged me, but I was like, dude, what level do I need to be to get this gun? And I was like, oh, 23. Okay. Like it only took me 5 minutes of like scanning the screen to find it. Yeah, attachments. I wasn't a huge fan of like the Cold War attachments or anything like that, but I mean, I don't know. I've gotten a little more used to it since I played, but yeah, it's a lot of just like, here, you could put 5 things on your gun. It's like, all right, I don't know how much this is gonna change, but yeah, trying to micromanage that's a nightmare. I've seen a lot of like funny tweets though about like, I think even Formal put out a tweet where he was like dogging the attachment system. He's like, why are there all these attachments? And like I missed the days where I could just put a grip in a sight and I was good.
Call it a day.
Yeah. One of the things I miss about old COD, including the paid DLC. I thought the map packs were sick. That's just me, but now it's it takes forever for games to even get one map, let alone 4. So at least within a year, you know what I mean?
That's a pretty good point. The maps are pretty bad. I've been playing a bunch of Call of Duty too, or I've been trying to, right? Like I've been watching the Overwatch League, a whole bunch this last week. I think they're on day 3 or 4, so they started Monday, I think. Either Sunday night or Monday. I think it was Monday. So I've been watching like all these professionals go at it, and then in between, I'm like, all right, well, I could do like an hour of campaign. So I've been doing like missions of campaign every night. I've been enjoying the story. It has some twists, has some turns. There's a couple of things that I was doing in the campaign that I've never done before, in a COD game. So I haven't played every single COD, but it's interesting. There's some lazy story writing. There's like moments where there's moments where you're just like, no logical human would make this decision, It's one of those moments where it's like the story went this way because of the plot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like the plot made the story. It's like they saw a beginning and an end, and they just kind of did shortcuts instead of explaining things.
Dude. Oh, that does not give me hope to play the campaign. But
it's, I mean, if you're into, I mean, it's just dumb characters. Like there's one moment in particular. Okay, so it's like the second mission. It's like super early on, so I'll give it away. There's like a main antagonist that you're trying to get, right? You finally get him, but you go on a, what's it called? Like it's not search and destroy. It's like capture or kill mission.
Yeah.
Like we'll take him dead or alive, that kind of thing. That's the phrase. So you go out there and you take him alive to interrogate him to get information, and then at the end you let him go. It's like, if we're taking him dead or alive, why are we letting him live?
Yeah, right.
Like hold him in custody. They're just like, oh, we have to let him go. It's like, what are you talking about? You were talking about killing him. What do you mean?
Why did you flip flop like that?
Yeah, I guess I was missing it. So if you can get like past some of that dumb stuff because it's like if you would have killed that guy, the main antagonist, it's like, oh, the game's over.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I know. It's like the story wouldn't be able to like
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah, it wouldn't be able to continue.
Yeah.
So I thought it was kind of. I mean, I haven't finished it yet, but
Yeah.
yeah, there's some things that need to be worked on. Outside of that,
Yeah,
I've just been
dude.
playing Overwatch.
Oh, yeah, that like it just makes me think about that story writing because like that's that type of story writing where they're like they do stuff that's like convenient. No, I don't know if convenience is the right word, but they do
Plot
stuff.
armor.
Maybe it's plot armor, but it's like they do
It's kind of like
stuff
plot armor.
and they do stuff to like just to make sure the story works, but like there's no
Yeah,
logic behind it. It's kind of just like why are we doing it? Like I like it's like oh they did this. I guarantee you this is why they do that, and then like you cut you later on. It's like really predictable almost because like like
yeah,
oh they let that guy go. Well, he's probably gonna show up later. I don't know. I have a hunch.
yeah.
Um,
There's a lot of assumptions you have to make. There's like one assumption in particular that you got to make, or not just that, but it happens again when you're trying to meet with like a cartel boss, and as you're getting ready to meet with them, they never say that you're going there to bargain with them. Like
yeah.
you're going there to get information and bargain, and like kind of make some type of peace. It never really says that. It just seems like you're gonna go in there, infiltrate, and kill everything. I'm like, dude, I'm one of those people that like if I'm playing a shooter and it has a campaign and a story, I want to understand what's going on.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah. I mean, you want to be good. The old COD campaigns were fantastic. So,
that's why it hurts, man.
yeah, they used to be so good. So yeah,
That's why it
and
hurts.
I hear Modern Warfare 2019 was really good. So I mean, to hear that
It
this
was
one,
really good, yeah.
to hear that
Yeah, it
this
was
one
really
might not
good.
be as good.
Yeah, it's
Unfortunate.
we'll see. There's probably going to be some type of redemption. There's already a twist that I came across, and I was like, okay, that's kind of interesting. I get that. And then it was like, okay, this went dark. That doesn't make sense. So,
Yeah.
like, I
Huh.
don't know. It just seems lazy as of right now. I'm like maybe halfway. So we'll see how
Gotcha.
it plays out.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, I don't think I played too much else this week. Those were like the two kind of main things I did. But yeah, I don't even think I did Saints Row this week. I don't know. Maybe later this week. We'll see.
Hopefully they push an
Like
update so you can go back. and
yeah,
play
you
happy.
know, funny enough, I saw a I actually saw a post that they did earlier in October that I completely missed. That was talking about they actually have a huge patch slated for November.
Well,
No
that's good.
set date, but they just said November. So we'll see. Hopefully it's not Thanksgiving. Hopefully it's a little bit earlier in the month. But yeah, it's supposed to be something this month. So I mean, you know, maybe we'll see. I mean, I'm almost scared that like if they fix the game it may not make it as interesting because like the bugs make it interesting. Like not that the story's bad, but like I don't know. We'll see. Well, I'm curious to see how it's going to
I
progress after this patch.
Yeah, somebody that likes Halo 2 a whole lot, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
adds a little more.
yeah, exactly. So we will see. But yeah, you were just doing COD and Overwatch. Is that what you said?
Bro, I've been last week, I think I played more video games since I was competing in HCS last year. I
Dang,
was playing non-stop. Like got home 6:30 to 1 a.m.
that's it right
was
there.
like
That's it.
I was like, "Oh my god. That's too much.
Grinding.
We got to take a break." So, I've been getting
Yeah,
much better. Because I haven't played on mouse and keyboard in a long time, you know? So it's like
yeah.
if you're just playing on a gamepad for the longest time, you kind of lose that muscle memory. So I got back on, I've been adjusting my sense, and I'm like, okay, this feels more comfortable. It's like, all right, we're getting there. We're getting there. And then I just started ripping heads
There
like
you
three or four
go.
games in a row, like 40 kill games. And I'm like, let's go, dude.
It's the
It's
dog
nice.
right there, baby. The
Yeah,
dog.
all headshots with Sojourn. I'm just loving life. I'm like
Love to
super
hear
hype.
that. Love to hear that.
So yeah,
Mm.
we'll see. Because I know I'm not as good as I used to be. Like I was nutty like 2 or 3 years ago when I was always playing mouse and keyboard games.
Sounds like you're getting it back though, dude. One more time.
Yeah,
Get
maybe we'll go
top
back and we'll
500.
try Apex again.
Yeah, dude, I love that. You already know
My
I'm.
redemption arc.
Yeah, you already know down to play some pecs. So time,
It's a fact.
anytime.
All right, let's get to some news. We've been chatting for like a good 15 minutes, just catching up.
Yep, we sure have. But got some news going too. I was about to reveal the last article. Not so fast. This is the first article we're talking about. That is Elgato announcing a 4K webcam that actually provides 60 FPS. This is a webcam. The form
That's
factor
nuts.
you can immediately see if you're watching the video. You'll see the first image in the article is of the cam itself, the Facecam Pro. A $300 price. It is a 4K 60 FPS webcam. Doesn't have a microphone, but that is not new for Elgato products. Their last Facecam did not have a mic as well. Not necessarily a bad thing though. I think, especially for what they're going for, no mic is probably for the better. You can pack more tech in there. You can really utilize all the space you got in this compact form factor. So I think overall it's a pretty good thing. And most people using a Facecam are going to have a separate microphone, especially if you're a streamer, which is what this targets, of course. It's again launching at $300. It's second creator focused webcam that adds impressive features that aren't in its original Facecam. Its standout feature is the ability to record 4K resolution footage at a smooth 60 FPS, while many other competing 4K options are limited to 30 FPS. You won't necessarily see those benefits in Zoom calls since the internet compresses video quality, but if you're a streamer, could be worth checking out. And even if you're a streamer, I think I mean, obviously, at the moment, especially on Twitch, it's only 1080p streaming. It's like the limit.
Yeah.
However, I think there is something to be said. I know sometimes when I watch YouTube videos and the 1080p of a 4K video and the 1080p of a 1080p video, if that makes any sense, is definitely a lot crisp on a 4K video. Like compression is like just insane.
Yeah.
So it's noticeable. Like if you have that headroom and you scale it down, it's oftentimes I think noticeable. So I think there's still benefits to be had in the compression, perhaps. Especially on YouTube. So it's definitely there. I mean, I know on YouTube you can stream 1440p and you may be able to stream 4K. I can't fully remember.
You can.
You can, yeah.
You can.
YouTube's got to figure it out, dude. What can they say?
Haven't I been saying it?
But yeah. So like I mentioned earlier, there's the $300 Pro Facecam. The smaller Facecam is now selling for $150, but it might deliver the updates that you had hoped for. 4K resolution recording aside, it also lets you choose between auto and manual focus mode. Being able to choose between these two focus modes is a common trait in most webcams, but is lacking in the original Facecam. Elgato also promises a minimum focus distance of 3.9 inches, which is almost 8 inches less than the original's 11.8 inch fixed focus range. The spec matches what other similarly priced webcams can achieve, including the Opal C1 and the Insta360 Link. Two cameras I'm not familiar with, but it seems like Elgato is on to something here. And I mean, I don't know. Overall, I gotta see the reviews. You know what I'm saying? I think I gotta see the reviews, Mike. I think I'd be curious to see what they say.
Yeah, some side by side stuff. Is this
Yeah.
something you would go for? I know you got an actual like camera that you use.
Yeah.
But if you didn't,
I mean, hey, if I'm a streamer looking for something 4K, I mean, unless and I know like some people, like if you're going for a 4K camera, you're going for like a Sony A7 IV or like an A7S Mark III or something nuts, right? But like,
yeah.
I mean, there's definitely a market for something like this, and it's knowing Elgato, the setup's going to be really easy and plug and play. So, I mean, for a lot of people, that's going to be pretty straightforward, and it's guaranteed it's going to have Stream Deck integration. Like that's just a guarantee. So, like if you're already in that ecosystem, it's like the old, it's like the Apple walls. Everyone jokes about Apple has their walls and they have their ecosystem, and they try to keep you in it. So,
that's a fact.
I think Elgato, yeah. I mean, I think Elgato does, something similar to a certain extent. So, some people got the Stream Deck with the Wavelink and the face cam and the foot pedal, and I mean they have the whole setup, and it's great products. Not dogging anyone for that. But yeah, this is something, if you're already in that ecosystem and you want a 4K camera, this is there. It's easy enough to get. So, definitely market. Would I be getting this? I don't know. Probably not. I think if I was to get a 4K camera, I'd probably want to get something that I could take with me to places, not necessarily just a stream cam. I feel like if I'm gonna go 4K, I want something like, something ridiculous like 40 30, 40 megapixel, like something crazy.
Yeah.
And the ability to like throw a different lens on and give utilize the full potential of like a mirrorless or full frame. So that would be my route, I think, personally. But I mean, I definitely see the market here.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what the comparison is going to be between um, this camera and other 4K cameras because I have the Avermedia 4K camera that does 30 frames per second. It's doing 4K right now, but I think our videos, you're probably recording in 1080p, right?
Definitely, yeah.
And even then, you're looking at Discord, so it's definitely not going to be as good.
Yeah.
But I could notice I noticed a significant change when I upgraded from like a 1080p Logitech webcam to this guy. It was nuts, and it also has like crazy good software too. I mean,
Yeah.
I've showed it to you, like the automatic AI stuff and everything for the backgrounds, the blurs. You can put like what's it called, like Snapchat filters on my face.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. Yeah, that I
It's
love
like
that.
it's
Love
so
that.
goofy. I'm
Yeah.
curious if the Elgato does that too. That's just software though. So I feel
Yeah.
like they should be able to do that.
I think so. I think I remember seeing something somewhere with Elgato where you could like do like where you could use maybe even other cameras too and just like have like face filters and stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's definitely a thing. But
I
but
I will say, sorry, go ahead.
no, I'll let you go ahead.
Okay, so one of the things, so I clicked on Elgato's website for the Face Cam Pro, and one of the most underrated things, like that you don't realize you need until it's a serious issue, is webcams that have built-in cables.
Mm-hmm.
So like the USBs that you can't extend, because when you add an extender to it, it just will not work sometimes.
Yeah. Oh
It
yeah.
usually has to do with like the type of USBs, and it's just not stable for images. The coolest thing about these newer webcams coming out is it just has a USB-C port on the back. So you can go to the store and buy like a 15-foot cable, 12-foot cable, who knows how long you want it,
Yeah.
and you can have that thing on like the other side of the room. Like
Yeah.
this guy right here is on a 10-foot cable. I don't need it, but it helps to make it so there's not like a cable short as heck going
Yeah.
straight to my PC, you know?
I mean, it all comes back to giving the consumer choice.
Exactly.
There's something about that
Yeah.
draws. And see, it's little things like this make people go to Elgato.
That's a
If I can
fact.
customize the cable, I can plug it in the back of my cam. Like that's a huge advantage. I know a lot of I know a lot of companies are like moving towards that, especially with webcams. Of just like you were saying, just being able to hook up your own cord because yeah, that's huge. Um, uh, one more note on this too. I think 4K 60, although I think it's awesome for webcam. I think in most applications, I mean, I think obviously YouTube, I think 4K 60 may be an option, but like I don't know, where it's I think 4K 60 video is still somewhat in its infancy. I think for most
It
people,
definitely is.
like it's most
Yeah.
people aren't going out of the way to watch 4K 60 video. Nor do they have the internet, if we're being honest. Because you need fiber at least to be able to download
Yeah.
and watch those videos. So yeah, definitely forward thinking. And it's 4K 60. It's definitely something that was inevitable. So glad Elgato got around to it and one of the first to do it in the webcam form factor, which is pretty exciting. So webcams are getting better. So we can at least say that. Um, I don't know, not too much else to talk about that. I think that's like the main kind of the crux of it, really.
Yeah.
You want a 4K 60 FPS webcam? Oh God, I've got you covered.
Basically.
But Microsoft ain't got no money with these consoles, Mike. It's kind of unfortunate. Um, Microsoft is losing between $100 to $200 on every Xbox sold, and there's not too much to report on this. I think the main reason I wanted to like bring this in this week's discussion though is because I feel like we talked about it last week to a certain extent of like,
Yeah.
are they making money? Like, is Microsoft actually making money off consoles? Because I had heard rumors that that wasn't really the case. Like they're making these at a deficit.
Yeah, I think we've talked about it a few times about how like they're not in the business of selling consoles anymore or hardware.
Yeah,
I think
definitely
I've
not.
talked about that constantly. Every time we bring up Xbox, I feel like I'm mentioning that. They just don't care. It's all about pushing the subscription service.
Yeah, definitely. Um, I mean, yeah, I mean, we talked about, and yeah, in fact, it was last week. We talked about Phil Spencer mentioned that they would eventually have to increase the price of something, whether that's the console
Yeah.
subscription service, and on the console side, if they wanted to profit off of them, they would definitely need to raise the price. But I mean, they make so much money off Game Pass and these other services that it may make more sense to it may make more sense to kind of bump those up a little bit more in price. So that may be the way, but like thinking about this too though also makes me think. I mean, surely PlayStation probably isn't making that much money off their consoles, right? I mean, I feel like the cost of production may be relatively
Yeah.
similar, you know. So it makes me wonder, like, and like Sony especially, which we'll get to a little later about how PlayStation Plus is doing, but it's I don't know, it's one of those things they definitely don't have as strong of a software ecosystem as Xbox does. So it makes me wonder how they're gonna stay afloat. I mean, I know a lot of their games do very well, and a lot of their first parties, of course, do the best. But it really makes you worry about PlayStation a little bit, I think. At least it makes me worry about PlayStation a little bit.
Well, they did raise their price everywhere except for the US.
Yeah, it's
Now,
very
I
true.
don't know why they did that everywhere except for the US. Because I feel like the US is their biggest market, right?
Yeah, I mean, I would think that's the biggest market share. Like Japan may be right behind it, or maybe even in
Yeah,
front of it. I don't
Japan.
know. Um,
I'm curious. I don't know if Nintendo or PlayStation sold more in Japan. I
that's a
would
really
think
good question.
Nintendo.
Yeah.
I really would.
I would think that too. Yeah, because I think that's more the culture. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's a good point. I think I think it's definitely nice to know that I think as a consumer, kind of like this is like Xbox is actually proving that hey, we don't make money off this, but it's not that.
Yeah, we're still
But
selling.
like we're willing to lose that money because we make so much more off this other stuff. So yeah, I mean, it kind of puts into perspective why they may want to increase the price in the future. Because like if you look at it in a business perspective, it's like okay, well, they aren't really making money off of it, so maybe this is why they actually want to increase the price so
True.
they can be somewhat profitable on the hardware front.
I could see like Microsoft saving money. I could definitely see them like their next console is going to be just like an empty box used for streaming games over the cloud.
Yeah,
It won't be an empty box, but you know what I mean? It'd be like a cable box,
yeah,
just like a way
yeah.
to watch or play games.
And do you remember the Xbox? I think it was the Xbox One X that was the SAD, which was the only. It was
Yes.
that was the acronym because it was all digital. There was no
Yeah.
disc tray, and like they ended up discontinuing it because like it just didn't do too well. I don't
Nope.
know.
But I think it
Um,
would now. I think they're ahead of the curve. They just
yeah,
were like the
maybe,
public just wasn't ready.
maybe. I think this is the thing. If you give the consumer the option between a console with a disc tray and a console without a disc tray,
Oh yeah.
I feel like more often than not they're gonna go with the hardware. Like, oh, I still want the disc tray. If that's an option, like I'm going for it. Um,
True.
Granted, I if I were to get a PS5, I would rather get the digital, honestly, because I don't mess with discs. But that's just me. So I mean, there's still a market for it for sure. But yeah, I mean, if Xbox were to do that on their next console iteration, they would have to just offer, hey, we're not going to do a disc tray. Like this is just going to be, like you were saying, just a box, connect to the internet,
Yeah.
and then stream all your games. I think ultimately we're waiting on internet infrastructure and a whole other slew of variables, but I think we're
Yeah.
getting there.
That,
We're getting
yeah,
closer.
internet demand is probably the bottleneck right now for everyone.
Yeah, for sure. You know what? What's bottlenecking Microsoft as well right now? They're getting this Activision Blizzard deal underway.
It's something to do with like a lawsuit, right?
Something to do with the lawsuit. Something to do with the EU. The European Commission, executive of the EU. They are conducting initial inquiries into the deal and reportedly been asked by Microsoft's rivals about its activity in cloud gaming and whether it could potentially deny access to Call of Duty or other platforms. However, according to a new report by Politico, this was also reported by Video Game Chronicles, where I pulled this original article. They said Microsoft had a deadline of midnight on October 31st to submit commitments to the EU that would help ease any concerns it had about the deal. Because I know we had been reporting on this podcast, many of the concerns that the EU regulators have had about this. They had until the 31st, but of course, that didn't happen. That actually, Microsoft had failed to do this, thereby potentially triggering the second, more in-depth phase of the investigation. If the European Commission now wishes to press ahead with phase 2, it has to formally announce this before November 8th. Microsoft's proposal to acquire Activision Blizzard continues to be investigated by anti-competition watchdogs around the world.
Watchdogs.
Yeah, I love how they phrase that. Saudi Arabia, of course, the first to actually approve the deal in August. Then the Brazil government approved it in October. The UK CMA already officially expanded its investigation to the second phase and is in the process of inviting members of the public to share their views on the proposed deal before giving its final decision on or before March 1st, which I actually didn't know. They have until, I guess, March 1st to kind of make their final decision, but they're going to involve the public. And I mean, this is like 5 months they have left to like really stop this.
Yeah,
so.
that's a long time.
Yeah, rather long time. It says Microsoft criticized UK regulators' decision to expand the inquiry, calling its concerns misplaced and claiming that it adopts Sony's complaints without the appropriate level of critical review. However, last week, Microsoft's head of gaming, Phil Spencer, said he believes heavy scrutiny from the regulators is fair and warranted, and that he remains confident that the deal will be approved. The US's FTC is also investigating the deal and is expected to make its ruling later this month. Very excited to hear what the FTC has to say.
Yeah,
the US side. Very excited for that. So be sure to stay tuned to the podcast because we definitely will be covering that whenever that drops. But yeah, it's crazy. The EU is still different parts of the European Commission is now considering their phase 2 investigation after the CMA is pretty much knee deep in theirs. So yeah, it seems that the EU is the most worried about it, which again, I think agreeing with Phil and saying that that's fair. They want to make sure that it makes sense for the consumer and makes sense for all parties involved. Yeah, dude. I don't know. Do you think we're still going to see this deal, Mike? I think it's still going to happen, dude.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I don't really understand why it's taken so long. Just because it's like two big companies basically merging. I mean
Right.
there's been banks that are 3 times the size of both of these that have merged, and nobody's batted an eye.
No.
So I mean, we'll see. We'll see ultimately. I think it's probably going to happen though.
No. I'm fairly confident in saying that it'll probably happen as well. Because I mean, ultimately, the way I'm looking at it is like Sony's not like it's not like Sony's gonna die because Xbox is Activision, and that's never been the case. And I know Microsoft realizes that's not gonna be the case. That's kind of why I think they're not like super worried about it either. But yeah, I don't. I mean, does it come down to jealousy? Is Sony's just jealous that they're about to get that Microsoft's about to get this huge market share in game devs, or who knows?
I
Man?
think that's a lot to do with it, because why isn't Nintendo involved at all?
It's a good question, dude.
Like, Nintendo's pretty massive too.
Yeah,
They're just over here in the same country as Sony. They don't care.
Yeah,
I mean, chilling.
Yeah, and we did report that last time that I think the CMA even said like the reason they're not really considering Nintendo is because it's such a different like market share kind of, and it's like Nintendo is very much their own entity and they have their own their own studios and their own style of game that no one else is doing, so it's not really those markets aren't crossing necessarily, so that's why they're not super worried about Nintendo, which makes sense. But yeah, I mean, the biggest cross between Sony and PlayStation is, of course, this Call of Duty. that's the one they always bring up.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's the main one that they're upset about. It's like COD, World of Warcraft. Even though World of Warcraft isn't what it used to be, it's like COD's still pretty much a behemoth. And you got Overwatch. Overwatch isn't that big, but I mean, it's pretty big. And geez, there are so many other ones that we're not even thinking of, too. Like all the mobile games that they have under Activision Blizzard.
Yeah. Well, and King, right? Like King. Yeah. That's the King's big dog right there, King. Yeah. Yeah, like I think I maybe even tweeted about it once. Like King is the real reason that this deal is happening. I feel like it's not even anything to
Probably.
do with Blizzard or Activision, just that mobile market. Because I mean, I don't know, I don't believe we may have reported it, but they are looking into creating a mobile marketplace.
Yes.
That's one of the main things behind this acquisition is, Xbox wants to make its own mobile marketplace. So it's gonna be in direct competition with, the big dogs, but Microsoft tried many things, so who knows? Maybe this will stick. I'm in support of that, but it's it's going to be a long time before we see any sort of finalized deal on this, and it seems like it's just going to get longer and longer. I mean, I hope it closes in 2023, but I mean, who knows at this rate, because we have a lot of pushback. So
Yeah, when the deal was announced and like accepted or agreed upon terms, all the reporters and like all the reports just in general, they were all saying, "Oh yeah, it's been approved, but it's going to take years to finalize."
yeah,
It's like, "Oh crap, okay." And then all these suits come out and goes through a court system and like okay, this is going to take multiple, maybe several years.
yeah,
So,
for sure. It's crazy. It was what, January that this was announced, so
yeah.
it's like we're already almost at January of 2023, and it's still going to be ongoing. So
Yep.
who
This is going to
goes,
be one of the
man?
ones that we're going to be covering pretty much like every couple of weeks. We'll come visit and be like, "So, here's the newest rumor."
Yeah,
That
here's the
kind of
newest
thing until
update.
it's
Yeah,
finally done. Yeah, exactly.
definitely will be. But I want to switch. I want to flip the coin though, Mike. Switch it up a little bit here to PlayStation. Bad news for PlayStation. As if they weren't already suffering enough.
Yeah, they're in shambles right now.
That's what it seems like, man. I'm hoping for a bounce
We
back.
haven't
Look, Ragnarok. All right, we're to talk about it
That's
later,
okay.
ladies and gentlemen. All
That's
right,
true.
we're
That's
gonna
true.
talk about it later when we announce the November games. But yeah, that's the last hope of the year for PlayStation. So, however, PlayStation Plus loses nearly 2 million subscribers. This was months after the relaunch and the rebrand of the actual system of the PlayStation Plus. Sony's June relaunch of PlayStation Plus doesn't look like it's going entirely as planned. The Japanese giant's latest financial report has shown that since Plus launched, it's lost 1.9 million subscribers between July and September this year. Sony CFO Huriko Totoki said there hasn't been great momentum. Despite this, the company has simultaneously seen a 10% increase in revenue, as noticed by a VGC. The report reveals that PlayStation Plus subscription numbers actually fell following the much touted relaunch, which saw the figures drop from 47.3 million to 45.4 million. So I mean, still a lot. There's still a lot of subscribers, right? But yeah, 2 million is, I mean, it's still enough to notice. So still doing very well. This is like that whole acquisition stuff's happening, but then you look at these numbers, it's like Sony thinks they're just gonna like fizzle out like after the Activision takes place, after the acquisition takes place. Like, come on. Those are clearly still healthy numbers, almost double those Microsoft can boast for Game Pass. Very true. I think Game Pass is like 25 million, something like that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it is.
yeah, I mean, Sony's doing pretty well by the looks of it. But article says it's certainly not what Sony would have what they were hoping for, given the enormous improved nature of the subscription service. And yeah, they also say this relaunch certainly wasn't easy. It wasn't an easy offer to parse, because I know when we were reviewing it, it was very confusing. Of like, okay, there's 3 tiers. Okay, there's some games available in this. So PlayStation Now's in this one. There's some available in this one, but there's a whole subsection that's not available in the second tier. That's available in the third tier, and it's like, yeah, it was definitely a lot to unpack.
Not straightforward.
It's not straightforward at all. Which is rather unfortunate, but so that is certainly very true. Like it's like I was talking about with COD UI. Like it's not as bad as the COD UI, but like the intuitiveness is just not quite as good as it could be. So I think that certainly could have been a little vexing for people, but I don't know. I mean, I look at the overall numbers though, and it's just like, I mean, if they're still retaining 45 million. I mean, it's not. It's just a blimp in the pond. You know,
It's
it's
nothing.
a drop in the pond.
Yeah.
You know. But yeah, I think I I don't know. Like I see, 2 million now. That's like, it's a big number. But then you read like the full picture, and it's kind of like, okay, maybe it's not as as bad as they're trying to write it out to be. You know.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, 47.3 to 45.4. That's that like 2 million is not a small number. Like that's a serious number. But it's like you still have 45 mil. I think all you got to do is figure out why 2 million left, you
Yeah,
know?
that's. I mean, that's a good point. That's still my question,
Yeah.
right? It's just going back to figure out what could be improved. Um, Yeah, it says that likely thanks to the more expensive tiers now on the offer, the amount of revenue Sony is bringing in has increased up 10%, which is
Makes sense.
116 billion yen or 788 million US dollars. That's nuts.
Jeez.
Sheesh. Yeah,
Dang, why
that's
didn't they
pretty
buy
crazy.
Activision?
It was what?
I'm just saying.
I mean, Activision was what? 60, it was like 69 billion. How much was it? 68
Yeah, it
billion?
was
It
it
was
was
in the
basically
billions, right?
69. Yeah,
Yeah, dude. Yeah,
it's a lot.
yeah. Sony out here. I mean, that revenue is revenue's pretty crazy, but it's definitely not let's buy Activision crazy. Um, but yeah. Okay. It says at the end of the article, the last reported figures for Game Pass were 25 million subscribers in January of this year, up from 18 million a year before. So while Microsoft is still far behind Sony, it's very much trending in the opposite direction. Very true. Yeah, it's wild. Again, 2 million, crazy. But Sony's doing all right. At this point, let the acquisition go through. What are we waiting on, huh? What is this back and forth, okay? Like they're fine.
I'll
All
tell
right.
you, Game Pass will go through the roof if I can combine like my Xbox Ultimate Game Pass with all my PC games. Like I have three or four Activision Blizzard games on my PC, and you're telling me I could get like perks by using the Game Pass?
You
GG's.
definitely can. You definitely can, Mike.
Yeah,
You know?
GG. It's over.
Yeah, dude, that's a big thing.
How many other people are gonna sign up?
I mean, yeah, for real. I mean, there's always the thing of, how many launchers do I need on my PC? If there's a way that these acquisitions can reduce the amount of
Facts.
launchers on my PC and make my life easier, then, make it happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't
Yeah.
know what, I'm not a
There's got to be
businessman,
a
all
way
right?
to combine all the launchers, right? There's
Yeah,
got to
I
be.
think, honestly, I think, in all seriousness, I'm pretty sure, like, I want to say, like, GOG maybe does, like, a thing where they kind of compile it all into one thing. So, like, here's what you have on Steam, here's what you have on that on it.
Gosh, I need that desperately.
Yeah, I would look into
Desperately.
it. I'm pretty sure GOG is the one that, like, there's, like, some launcher out there that does just that, where they, like, they parse out all your
Okay.
game for you, which is
I'm
nice
sure
to
there's a
have.
YouTube video for it. I'll have to find it and see what's going on.
Yeah, I would look at GOG because I mean, the thing about GOG GOG, the thing about them is like they're super into zero, like they're super into DRM free stuff. So like all their games, if you buy it from GOG, you get the full thing DRM free. And like when they sold Cyberpunk on GOG, that was DRM free, so you got like all the files and everything. Like
It's awesome.
it wasn't actually locked behind anything. That's like their huge kind of like talking point is that everything they sell is DRM free. You can either get you could just get the game itself, or you could get it like you could purchase it for use on like Steam or something like that. Um,
Hmm.
yeah,
That's pretty cool.
yeah, pretty dope for sure. You know what's not pretty dope?
Oh gosh. Okay, yeah, you
You
sent me
ready?
this earlier today.
All right,
Yeah,
here we
the
go.
price. Okay. No spoilers. You go ahead. Break it down.
Ah, ladies and gentlemen, I have good news and bad news. Good news: PlayStation VR2 has been announced with a release date and a price point,
Yay.
and some games that'll be coming with it. However, the bad news, and most people may not like this, it's launching at 550 US dollars. You know how much PS5 is, Mike?
Isn't it less than 500?
If you get the digital, yes, the digital is
Yeah.
400. The main one, $500. What does that
Yeah,
mean?
that's
The
more
VR is more
expensive.
expensive than the console. which I think for some people probably something you didn't want to hear.
How's that possible?
Well, I could probably give somewhat of an idea of why that may be possible. Sony's launching the PSVR2 headset on February 22nd, priced at $550. And VR headset itself will include Sense controllers, stereo headphones, but a Sense controller charging station will be available separate. For those that don't know what the charging station is, if you want to charge your controllers wirelessly, you will have to pay $50 extra on top of the $550, so it's $600 for the full gambit, if you will. Pre-orders for the PSVR2 will begin on November 15th. Limited to Sony's PlayStation Online store in many markets, including the US, UK, France, and Germany. Games including Horizon Call of the Mountain will also be available for pre-order later this month. The PSVR2 headset is a major upgrade over the original with an OLED screen, 110-degree field of view, and a 4K HDR support. It also supports up to 120 Hz for smoother frame rates and gameplay. VR headset has 4 cameras built into the front of the display, so you won't have to set up external cameras to follow your movement. We were, and this is again from The Verge. The Verge said we were impressed with our initial hands-on with the PSVR 2. And the writer's colleague Jay Peters describing it's a major upgrade and an improved single cable setup. There is still one cable, right? It's not fully wireless. We're not the I'm trying to think of what's the name of the Quest headset that's wireless.
Oh,
It has a name.
you sent the video. I didn't watch it today. I was too busy.
No, not the Quest Pro. I think Quest Pro is still wired. I'm thinking.
Talking about the one you sent me, the Linus Tech Tips did a video on, right?
That's the Pro one. I don't think it's fully wireless.
Well, it's just the Quest then.
Maybe it is just Quest. I don't know. I get confused by these names. It's like there's so many. But yeah, the bottom line, this one is still wired. While the headset is a big leap forward, get this, Mike. You will not be able to play original PSVR games on it.
What?
Shaking your head. I see. I'm the exact same way, dude. PSVR games are not compatible with PSVR 2 because PSVR 2 is designed to deliver a truly next-gen VR experience. That is the way that's the way they're touting it.
Why?
Dang, dude, bro, you're telling me I was spending $550 on top of $500 per console, and then I can't even. It's not even backwards compatible with old PSVR games. What are we doing? Like what is going on here?
I'm just like, I'm at a loss for words. How the heck is that? Who makes that decision, and why?
Vice President of Platform Experience at Sony, dude. That's who. So,
what platform experience? There is no experience. Where are my games, dude? What are you talking about? Platform experience?
Bro.
Oh, cool. 11 new games. By the way, you can't use the old ones. Get effed.
I'm going to make you even more mad, Mike. You ready for this? While there are around 500 PSVR games available, Sony has only announced a handful of titles, with 11 more announced today. Horizon Call of the Mountain, an original title in the same universe as Zero Dawn and Forbidden West, looks to be a launch title, with VR versions of Resident Evil 8, Resident Evil 4, and No Man's Sky also on the way. VR versions of Star Wars and the Walking Dead games are planned as well. Sony announced 11 new games in PSVR 2. You got the Dark Picture Switchback VR. You got Cities VR Enhanced Edition. Crossfire Sierra Squad, The Light Brigade, Cosmonius High. You have Hello Neighbor Search and Rescue, so a Hello Neighbor kind of spinoff. Jurassic World Aftermath Collection, Pistol Whip VR, Zenith The Last City, After the Fall, and Tentacular. And that's it. That was all that was announced. So,
did you mention the one thing that like is so it's kind of ridiculous that you can't play the old games? You know, it's just really unfortunate. Is where can you use the PSVR 2?
I'll tell you right now, Mike. You thought you could use it on a PC, didn't you? You thought you could use it on a PC, didn't you?
That's what I said.
Ladies and gentlemen, you would think. No.
I remember we reviewed this, like, when it was first announced. We talked about the specs, the performance, we went through the hardware, everything. It's in the past episode. And then I was like, imagine if this is on PC when Unreal Engine 5 comes out. Remember that conversation?
I forgot it, but now I remember it.
What are we doing, man?
dude. I mean, it's just the whole just crapping on backwards compatibility and not making it available. I mean, it's the whole thing with the remember the Xbox. Remember the Xbox One? It launched and there was like no backwards compatibility, and they eventually added it. They added it over time because they had to. Because like they need to play 360 games on my console.
Oh man, the fan base was so upset.
Majorly.
They were like, we're just gonna keep playing Halo 3 for the rest of our lives in Modern Warfare 2.
Yo, no, my
You better fix
360.
that console.
I didn't switch to an Xbox One until probably like 2-3 years of the console cycle. I was just on a 360, bro. Like, dude, just the longest time. It's wild, but
because of that.
Yeah,
and the always online feature that's now.
Yeah, dude.
We're gonna go on a tangent here.
We're going on a massive tangent. Listen,
PSVR 2. What are you doing?
What are we doing? Is there a market for this? I don't know.
You tell me, man.
I don't know. Like, because I look at this. See, as someone that owns a PC, I look at this and I'm just like, the Quest looks nice. I just don't. You're not compromising that much on like a modern Quest headset or like a modern HTC headset. Like you're just not. I don't know. There's headsets that are just as comparable, if not maybe a little bit worse, that you could get for less money, and it already works for what you have, and you don't have to buy a console to use it. And oh man, it's like, and don't get me wrong, PSVR, I'm pretty sure it sold pretty well, but it's just like it was also less than the console that you're supposed to pair it with, which probably helped.
Yeah, that's a tough sell.
I think it's a really tough sell. I mean, even if you have a PS5, it's if you have a PS5, I mean, most people that own a PS5, and well, I don't know, maybe that's not true. I was gonna say most people that own a PS5 probably have a PC, but that may not be true because I think a lot of people that do get consoles, probably just have the console in their living room. They're just on the couch gaming. So most people don't take it as seriously as your boys at the M2 podcast, but
that's a fact. It's a fact. Shout out to the guys playing PlayStation with open mics and COD because you just continually get bopped by me. You guys are free real estate.
Completely free.
Oh, your reaction time on those little controllers, you ain't getting shot. Got no shot. Even with aim assist, you're still getting bopped.
Oh, still.
I'm still shouting. So I'm looking over here at the MetaQuest. So it's the MetaQuest 2.
They
haven't released the 3 yet, but the MetaQuest 2, it's $400. Okay.
There you go.
It's a limited time offer right now, $400. And then you got the MetaQuest Pro, which shout out to Linus Tech Tips and specifically you for sending me the video that I have to freaking watch tonight.
Yeah.
That's $1,500. So I gotta understand why that's $1,500.
Yeah.
And
the thing about that headset is I've immediately marked that as like, okay, this is for businesses only. So I'm no interest. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of just like that's just not my market, which I've just accepted. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. Maybe there's something crazy, but it seems to me that like, especially for most consumers, including myself, like just give me the Quest 2 and I'm chilling,
Yeah, true. I mean, the main reason why I brought it up, right, is because it's like if this VR2, PSVR2 is coming out in February around the same time that the MetaQuest came out with $1,500 worth, it's like this is $550, and then the MetaQuest 2 is $400. It's like you could possibly hit that niche of performance worth the money if you put it on PC as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So it like now I've kind of just lost like all interest in it, to be honest.
Yeah. Dude, I'm right there with you. It's like, I mean, because if you think about it too, if you have a PlayStation 5, I mean, you're gonna have God of War. You're gonna have all these other like games. I mean, the 2023 lineup. I'm not fully sure what's coming out on PlayStation next year, but I know there's gonna be some pretty good games coming out that don't require a headset. I mean, I think it's still like it's to the point where like there's still so many games to play on a PlayStation 5, and there's only gonna be more that like.
True.
Are people that already own the console gonna want to be like, oh, I've exhausted my use of the actual console and want an upgraded experience? Like, I feel like most people aren't gonna like want to bother with that, especially right now.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's not games for the PSVR 2.
I mean, yeah, a price drop. So. I mean, again, a year after launch, yeah, I mean, there might be something worth it there, especially for people that already have a PS5. But I mean, and if they add, I mean, who knows? If they could somehow add like a software update of some sort to actually make it viable on a PC, that would be great. But I just don't know how realistic that is, and I'm not an engineer, so um, not my place to say. But God, it's a hard sell to say the least.
It'll be good to see the reviews though.
Yeah,
All
always.
of the new stuff that we've been talking about, like specifically the Elgato's new 4K cam, and then this PlayStation VR2. I very much want to see like reviews and how it
Yeah,
compares to other products of similar performance.
yeah, for sure.
So
I think the feature that I'm interested to see the most in this is going to be the 4 cameras on the actual front of the device. How that's going to map out a
exactly,
room and like
yeah,
how it's going to make that experience, because that could be pretty huge. And I know like even MetaQuest Pro, I think it does something similar. It just has like
it
cameras
does.
everywhere, so it's just like it can map out the room. And who knows? I think the biggest thing for me when I hear about VR, I'm more so not as interested in VR as I am in AR, and like what they can do with like just augmenting the reality around you and not necessarily
Yeah,
isolating you, because I think that interests me more, and I think it's where VR is going to shine the most on a consumer level. So that's the path of
yeah,
virtual reality that I'm most interested in, at least in the current state. Um,
yeah. I'm on board with that. I mean, there's so many things, so many industries that could use that,
yeah, I mean, I think the
like just in
biggest
business.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing I saw recently that could be used by anybody is like if you have a laptop and you have like AR, if you have like AR glasses or goggles, you can essentially. Have you seen this where it's like it turns your like laptop into like a 3 monitor setup?
Yes,
Like, dude, that is
yeah,
wild. And you're just like sitting
it's
there, and
so
all of a
cool.
sudden you have a whole desktop setup over just a little laptop. It's pretty sick. Stuff like that, that is like mind blowing to me. So that's what I'd love to see more research and development put into, is stuff like that. And who knows, like just looking at the wall and seeing a giant screen with nothing there,
Yeah.
it's like that would be sick, dude. Um, Opportunities are endless, and that's what gets me excited about VR more so than like the PSVR 2. No offense, PSVR 2. Um,
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
yeah,
I think that's a good idea.
for sure. Well, I mean, I think it was all articles I had, Mike. I love that. I love that last little piece. We
Yeah.
vented a little bit. That was good.
That's made me feel better. Yeah, I think this is full disclosure for people that are listening. We're actually recording this a day early, but I still feel like this is a healthy scrap of news.
Going into this, like there was actually a decent amount of articles, and like
Yeah.
there was still a day, like technically a day left, and I was like, dang, we got lucky because like there was like a decent amount of stuff
Yeah.
this week. Um,
Yeah, there's been some weeks where it's just nothing.
yeah, and it's like Thursday, and you're like, dude, come on, there's only like one day left.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, very very happy with the uh the turnout we had this week. One so good stuff.
Definitely. Well, since we're pretty much finished with the news, I think we should go ahead and let the people know what's coming out for the month of November, video games wise. And I basically get a full list, right? At the start of every month. And dude, the list is so long
We're in the
that
thick of it, Mike. I like
I,
we are in
November's the month, dude.
Yeah, we are in the prime real estate that is Broketober and Brokevember. So
Facts. So I'm gonna just go through a good handful. I think I have 11 written down. You have to excuse me, a little bit congested. So I'll go through 11 that I've written down that I think will kind of attract most people that are into gaming. At least one of these you should have interest for, right? Or know about. So the first one is Sonic Frontiers, which is on your Switch, PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox. It's literally on everything at this point. That comes out next week, so November 8th, which is a Tuesday.
sure is.
Um, then the next day, November 9th, you got God of War Ragnarok, which you and I are very much excited to see. That's on PS4 and 5. Then you have for November 16th on all platforms, except for Nintendo, which is unfortunate, but it's Call of Duty Warzone 2, and I'm really interested to see how
Yeah.
that's going to pan
Oh
out with
yeah.
like balancing. Then you have November 17th, so the next day, there are a few games coming out, so 2 in total. One's on PC, it's called Vail VR, and then you have Goat Simulator 3, which is on PC, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S. And Goat Simulator 3 is just a goofy game.
Get it out of
And
here.
if I
No, it baited me. Get it out of here.
it made you so bad. I know when I wrote it down, I was like, he's gonna be
See,
tilted.
look, I'm not as upset now because we actually got the Dead Island 2 announcement later in the summer.
That's a
So,
fact.
we
That's
got
a
it, baby. We
fact.
got it. W.
So I'm actually like really excited for Veil VR. It's an arena shooter in VR.
Oh
So
yeah, sounds
I'm
interesting.
big into arena shooters. It kind of comes off a little bit like CS:GO, just
Oh
a
yeah,
little
yeah.
bit. So I want to see how that actually works. I think that could be an esport, judging by some of the things I've been seeing.
Yeah, if it's arena
So
shooter, dude, could be.
exactly. So then you have 3 more games coming out November 18th. You got Spider-Man Miles Morales, which is going to be on PC. That's one that's been out for on PlayStation for ages. They're just moving it over to PC. Um, you have The Dark Pictures Anthology, The Devil and Me. So that's PC, PS4, 5, Xbox Series X and S, and Xbox One. That's and then the last one for November 18th is Pokemon Scarlet and Witch, and that's for Switch.
Scarlet and
So,
Violet.
Sorry, Scarlet and Violet.
There you
Yeah, thank you for correcting me, sir.
go. You're
This
good.
is
You're
this
good.
is why I wrote it down and sent it to you.
Yeah, I before you continue though, I'm very like I feel like that crept up. Like we're already like in the next Pokemon game. Crazy. Like it's
Yeah,
wild.
yeah. Well, they announced both of them at the same time,
Right.
if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So they were like, "Here's the first one, and then we're gonna be sitting on this one right quick, but you'll get it soon." That kind of
Yeah.
attitude.
God, we're already, dude.
Uh,
This is wild. I'm just my mind's blown right now. We're already in November.
November 2nd. Let's
Hmm.
go. Then you have Evil West. That's on all platforms except for the Switch. That comes out November 22nd. And I remember seeing Evil West, but let me try to recap it real
I
quick.
felt
Yeah,
like I remember seeing it too.
it's a horror game, but you're like a cowboy,
Yeah.
from my understanding. It's
Is
like your
it top
character's a
down?
cowboy.
I feel like it
Oh
was
yeah,
top down.
it's kind of like Van Helsing, right? Where it's
Uh,
like demons are coming after you, like vampire kind of stuff. It looks insane. So
sounds
very,
insane.
very gory, very gory. So,
Yeah.
uh, speaking of gory, Gungrave Gore is on all platforms except for the Switch, coming out November 22nd. And then you got Warhammer 40,000 Darktide on the PC to wrap up the month, November 30th.
Dang.
So, yeah, we got a busy month of games, and that's just like the top of the list of games that I think most people would
Yeah.
be interested in. But man, is there a lot. Like I can go down a huge list just right now. I mean, good gracious. You looking at this in the Discord? I
Dude.
have
Yeah.
you got to scroll for days.
For real. I mean, dude, that's Power November, baby. This is a gamer month right here.
It
So,
really is. It
um,
really is. Everybody's trying to release all their games before Thanksgiving, which
yeah.
in the US is the 24th,
So
right?
yeah,
It's,
think so.
yeah, November 24th.
Yeah. Um.
So,
Also, full disclosure, God of War Ragnarok. For those that don't know, the review embargo lifts tomorrow. For those that got it early, so beware if you don't want to
oh,
spoil the game. But also, there are specific reviewers that stated that they were going to be make sure that they're spoiler free. So I would just say keep an eye out. Make sure that if you're wanting to play the game and you don't want it spoiled, to be careful which reviews you watch because some people might go a little more in depth than you would like. So that
well,
review embargo is tomorrow.
when you say November, do you mean the 5th, Saturday?
Um, November 3rd, I guess, which is
So that
tomorrow.
would be
So it's
yeah, that
like,
would be tomorrow our time. But by the time you hear this, it's already out.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm
So
forgetting. So yeah, um, if you that's a good point. Yeah, review embargo is already lifted. So by the time you see this, you can just
it's out.
you can go. Yeah, I'm forgetting we're recording on Wednesday. So but yeah,
It's weird. We're gonna have to do
it's
this
really weird.
again too.
Yeah, it's really weird. This
Thanksgiving.
yeah, inside baseball, there's probably going to be there's probably going to be a few times this month we're going to have to record on off days, but uh
Yeah.
regardless, we're getting the show to you. So one way or the other. So
That's a fact. Staying consistent. Thank you all for listening. I think we're about wrapped up for the week, aren't we? You got anything else to leave them with?
I don't think so. I think I covered everything I wanted to cover. Stay frosty, play some COD, get mad at the car map like me. I mean,
yeah, everybody's mad at that. Play some campaign, chill out.
Yeah,
just enjoy the story for what it is. Shoot your gun,
exactly.
man. Go play Overwatch.
Shoot your gun. Yeah, dude, play
or
Overwatch,
racing games.
bro.
Do something.
Bro, watch. But by the time this airs, tonight is going to be the Overwatch
League.
Grand Finals. Go watch OWL Grand Finals.
Go watch it. It's nuts, dude. It's nuts. These kids are cracked. They're stupid good. So definitely go check that out. Yeah. But I think without further ado, let's let the people go. Thanks for tuning in. We really appreciate you. You can find us on Twitter. All the links and everything we've been talking about on today's episode and all the past ones, the links are in the description below. If you're watching on YouTube, we pin mark, bookmark everything. So go check it out. Let us know what you think. And we'll catch you later. Have a good one.
Have a good week, everyone. Thanks for listening.
Bye.